Good morning and welcome to this online service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. My name is Lila Herndon Vizzard and I serve on UUCA's Board of Trustees, and I am so very happy to be with you all today. I'm recording this welcome after getting home from a long but productive workday. I am very thankful to be working, especially right now, in both a job I love and at a neighboring local health department. While I'm not doing my regular job during this time of COVID, I am happy to be a part of our emergency response. Still, being immersed in COVID all day, almost every day, can be both scary at times and often exhausting. It feels like we've been dealing with this pandemic forever, and some days it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like all of you, I can't wait to come back to our beautiful sanctuary and to be with everyone again, to be together without masks and to be able to hug all of my friends and extended family, to frankly just get back to something resembling normal. But until then, our virtual gatherings will suffice and hopefully provide us all with some time to renew and remember how important it is to take care of ourselves and of those we care about. Today's service explores how our spiritual lives and our UUCA community can support our healing and self-care, both now in these difficult, challenging times and always. And I know that I, for one, can use all the help I can get. Feel free to use the chat to greet one another and share your likes and loves throughout the worship service. Now, take a deep breath as we come together as a community in worship.
I'm not religious, she told me, but sometimes I pray. I just tell myself, "You got this, you can do it," said another girl. I hold on to this gift I was given during the darkest time in my life, and it reminds me that we got out of there, explained a third friend. If you've got any spare prayers, we could use them, he entreated. Always, I replied. So many ways there are to send love into the universe, to make known our intentions, to channel our energy and strength, to surround our souls with solace, to seek wisdom from within and without. To pray is to manifest love or longing, compassion or comfort, to release our hearts into the wild. Let us come together today, even as we remain apart, dispatching our prayers to find each other. Today, I dedicate this chalice lighting to my aunt, Libby Lowe, who I called FG. As long as I've been a part of this congregation, FG watched our services online from her home in Florence, South Carolina. At first, she watched because Zoe was singing with the children's choir, but she kept tuning in each Sunday because she enjoyed the services. She would often text me to comment on something she saw or heard, or to ask me where I was if she couldn't see me sitting in the front row. Once, she texted me to alert me that kids who were on the chancel were too close to the chalice and she was afraid someone would catch fire. Whenever I served as worship associate and I welcomed the people who were watching online, I always smiled at the camera, knowing she would see me smiling at her. FG passed away on August 13th. This is for you, FG. I love you. Please join me in our chalice lighting litany. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and love to the world.
Nada te turbe, nada te espante, quien a Dios tiene, nada le falta, nada te turbe, nada te espante, solo Dios basta. Nothing can trouble, nothing can frighten those that seek God shall never go wanting. Nothing can trouble, nothing can frighten. God alone fills us. Solo Dios basta.
For our Time for All Ages today, I want to share with you this story, The Way to Start a Day by Bird Baylor, illustrated by Peter Parnell. The author of The Way to Start a Day is 96-year-old Bird Baylor, who lives by herself in an adobe house in the desert in Arizona. Her house has no electricity, but uses only solar power. She writes her books using yellow legal pads and manual typewriters, and has never used the internet. The town where she lives is 11 miles from the U.S.-Mexico border, so she leaves food and water outside for migrants who may need it. She also shares her land with an organization that helps people who are trying to cross the border. She has written dozens of books to share her love for the desert and the people who live there. And she demonstrates this love through her actions. The way to start a day. The way to start a day is this. Go outside and face the east and greet the sun with some kind of blessing or chant or song that you made yourself and keep for early morning. The way to make the song is this. Don't try to think what words to use until you're standing there, alone. When you feel the sun, you'll feel the song too. Just sing it. But don't think you're the only one who ever worked that magic. Your caveman brothers knew what to do. Your cavewoman sisters knew too. They sang to help the sun come up and lifted their hands to its power. A morning needs to be sung to. A new day needs to be honored. People have always known that. Didn't they chant at dawn in the sun temples of Peru? and leap and sway to Aztec flutes in Mexico, and drum sunrise songs in the Congo, and ring 1,000 small gold bells in China. Didn't the pharaohs of Egypt say the only sound at dawn should be the sound of songs that please the morning sun? They knew what songs to sing. People always seemed to know. And everywhere they knew what gifts the sun wanted. In some places they gave gold. In some places they gave flowers. In some places sacred smoke blown to the 4 directions. Some places feathers and good thoughts. Some places fire. But everywhere they knew to give something. And everywhere they knew to turn their faces eastward as the sun came up. Some people still know. When the first pale streak of light cuts through the darkness, wherever they are, those people make offerings and send strong, mysterious songs to the sun. They know exactly how to start a day. Their blessings float on the wind over Pueblo cornfields in New Mexico, and you hear their morning songs in villages in Africa, and they salute the sunrise ceremonially in the high, cold mountains of Peru. Today, long before dawn, they were already waiting in Japan with prayers, and they were gathering at little shrines in India with marigolds in their hands. They were bathing in the sacred Ganges River as the sun came up. And high on a mesa edge in Arizona, they were holding a baby toward the sun. They were speaking the child's new name so the sun would hear and know that child. It had to be sunrise, and it had to be that first sudden moment when all the power of life is in the sky. Some people say there is a new sun every day, that it begins its life at dawn and lives for one day only. They say you have to welcome it. You have to make the sun happy. You have to make a good day for it. You have to make a good world for it to live its one-day life in. And the way to start, they say, is just by looking east at dawn. When they look east tomorrow, you can too. Your song will be an offering. And you'll be one more person in one more place at one more time in the world, saying hello to the sun, letting it know you were there. If the sky turns a color sky never was before, just watch it. That's part of the magic. That's the way to start a day.
Thank you, Betsy. Friends, I invite you now into a time of prayer and meditation. Poet laureate Joy Harjo says in her Eagle poem, "To pray, you open your whole self, to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. To pray, you open your whole self." I invite you to open your whole self with me. Spirit of life and love, God of many names and beyond our naming, we open our whole selves. We open our whole hearts, though they are broken. We open our whole minds, though they are full of questions and trouble. We open our whole selves to you. Spirit of life and love, come in and fill the space. Fill the space we open, the space between and among us. Help our spirits to stay open. our hearts and our minds and our whole selves. May it be so for you this week, for you this moment. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you are holding in your heart today, I invite you to share it in the comments now with the hashtag Book of Life, or to email uucabookoflife@gmail.com. Your joys, your sorrows will be lifted up in Friday prayer group and in the community, so that the pastoral care community here and the clergy might reach out to you, so that all of us can be present with our whole selves. May it indeed be so, and amen.
Some years ago, I published an article in the UU publication, UU World, about a patient's request to incorporate prayer into her medical treatment. That story eventually found its way into Looking Within, a recently published collection of true medical stories that explore life and humanity by way of looking into our bodies and ourselves. Diane has asked me to share some reflections from that story about a young woman being treated for cancer. I was to do a procedure on her. We discussed what we would be doing, how we would keep her comfortable, and she consented in understanding. Before we began, however, she asked if she could say a prayer first. I said, of course. I had seen a number of patients over the years briefly lower their heads in silent meditation, never needing to ask permission. It soon became evident, however, that her prayer would neither be silent nor brief. Lying on the procedure table, she extended her arms so that she might clutch my hand and that of my assistant, while she proceeded to express herself aloud. I felt a little uncomfortable at first. Despite a natural interest in humanity and spirituality, outward prayer to me is a somewhat personal matter, particularly at work. I've never believed that my own religious views or questions are the business of the patients I treat. Being aware of patients' beliefs may sometimes be medically relevant, particularly if the information may help tailor treatment to their needs. However, being asked to participate in her prayer was unusual, and it made me feel a little bit awkward. From the atheist to the evangelical of all faiths, I try to treat everybody with the same concern and dignity as most doctors I know do, without openly bringing my own religion to the equation. When I reached for this woman's hand, I feared that my religious privacy and anonymity might somehow be compromised. The woman, her health, and her faith should be center stage. I only wanted to play a supporting role. Nevertheless, she spoke of her thanks, her concerns, and her hopes, exuding gratitude and respect. If her goal was to win compassion through flattery, she had already succeeded. Her compliments to me, to my assistant, and our healthcare system, whether deserved or just hopeful, made me feel capable, but humble, able, but not overconfident. Her trust was reassuring, and I could not imagine letting her down. Her prayer continued, and she made an impression on me. I felt surprisingly comfortable. I had just been asked not only to witness, but also to participate in her religious practice. That experience might have been unsettling in another context, yet the gratitude and peace that she emitted left me feeling tranquil, focused, and somehow empowered. Some might wonder if the prayer's power might have resulted from a higher intervention. Not qualified to confirm with any certainty, I can say that those of us present felt the confidence and strength to perform the task at hand. We were helping her, and she was helping us to help her, without anyone assuming or forcing any beliefs on the other people. She may have needed to be overtly religious, but in essence only asked that we be supportive by allowing her the outward expression. Respect, hope, realizing and expressing gratitude with the goal of healing and finding peace, whatever may happen. Whether physically, emotionally, or spiritually, no one comes out unscathed in life. We all have setbacks, injuries, illnesses, and disappointments. But we also have amazing resilience, untapped reserves, and abilities to adapt, to help ourselves and each other heal. May we discover and use these gifts when they may be needed most.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
In June, I had outpatient surgery, and I was reminded of the story that Cullen just told. So when I was in the operating room after the surgeon and the anesthesiologist and the 2 nurses had done their usual round robin identifying who they were and what they were about to do, I asked, "Is it my turn now?" And they laughed. But then when I said I wanted to pray, of course, they said yes. So there I am, arms strapped down, no drugs yet, luckily. But I said something like this: Spirit of life and love, connector of hearts, I am grateful to be here today with these talented and skilled medical people, these healers. I'm grateful to them for all the work that they have done to care for others, especially in this time, regardless of the difficulties. And I am grateful that my day for this surgery is finally here. I trust the skill in their hands and the compassion in their hearts. And may we all honor our deep connection to one another and to all that is beyond us. When today's surgery is over, may I have the strength and the wisdom to build on their good work in order to become my own healer. So may it be. Amen. And after a few seconds, one of them said, "Amen," and another one said, "That was beautiful." And in moments, I was asleep. And I didn't know anything till a couple of hours later when I was waking up in the recovery room. I hope that these words touched the medical team. I know that my words helped me to express my gratitude and trust and to focus on my own heartfelt intentions. To me, that's the thing about prayer. It's not begging for special intervention from some guy in the sky. It's articulating what Reverend Amanda a couple of weeks ago called the spiritual dilemma. What pains me, what I hope for, and what I'm grateful for, in a way that acknowledges humbly that I really can't go it alone. I believe that's healthy and true. I can have the trust, like every single one of us, I can have the trust to reach out for help. Did that prayer help me heal? Who knows? But it did help me focus. And I believe that our attitudes as well as our actions can play a role in our well-being of body and mind and spirit. Dr. Paolo Lisoni in Milan, working with cancer patients, showed that those who had a strong sense of purpose and optimism were 40% more likely to heal. Diana Robb writes in Psychology Today that mindfulness, visualization, and grounding can help us to heal ourselves and possibly others. So yeah, this research is complicated and subtle and not without controversy because it's pretty much impossible to isolate just the belief in healing, in self-healing. But the possibility, I didn't want to ignore the possibility that I could play a role in getting myself back to health. And I didn't want to leave it to chance. I wanted to be deliberate. I also never believed that I could heal myself alone. That's why I chose to have surgery and to pray, and since then to be following doctor's orders. This fact of not needing to go it alone is crucial. We take the leap of trust to humbly ask for help when we need it, and we give help when we can. healing can come in surprising ways. I have a friend whose sister recently died. He couldn't go to her funeral. His own health is too fragile, and the distance was too great. So on the day of the funeral, he and his wife baked several batches of pineapple upside-down cake, one of the sisters' specialties. And then he took it to the neighbors on their cul-de-sac. Now, none of these neighbors knew his sister, but they all responded kindly and sympathetically. Warm emails, a rose plant, a drawing from a little kid, a hand-painted card with a personal remembrance of loss. These were all expressions of love and sympathy, proxy offers of help with healing. This man and his wife had wisely chosen not to endure their heartbreak alone. Not needing to be completely on our own is at the heart of being in community and creating community. It's a main principle of pastoral care as well. At UUCA, the ministers and the Lay Pastoral Care Associates are here to accompany us in our individual, spiritual, and emotional journeys during hard times. A few days ago, I talked with Reverend Amanda and Reverend Walter about what they love in providing pastoral care. So, Reverend Amanda, what is it for you? What do you love about providing pastoral care?
For me, I think it's about being invited into the journey that someone is taking in their life, and sometimes that is a really big, huge thing happening. And sometimes it's just a little part of the road that is maybe a bit tricky, or that they'd like someone to accompany them on. And being invited in as an accompanier in some ways, right? That feels like an incredible honor, and just a privilege to take that journey, to be a journey companion. Walter, how about you?
Yeah, a lot of it has been about that idea of the journey companion, and I really love that invitation. There is that vulnerability that can be so hard for us. And when someone invites you into that space, it's just humbling in a way for those who are invited. And it's a great reminder that we all have this common humanity, that we all join together in, and just sharing some of those moments of pain. So what about you, Diane?
Well, I guess the other thing that triggers for me is how much I love the opportunity to pay it back for all of the times that I have been cared for, and to pay it forward through working with these people in our congregation. Aren't we lucky?
Amen.
Yeah.
I think there's a misconception about pastoral care, that it's only for those who are very ill or very old or those who are bereaved. And yes, of course, pastoral care is available for those people. For example, I worked closely with Phyllis Woodring and her family earlier this summer in the last few weeks of her life. At the very same time, another lay pastoral care associate was working with a young woman who simply had had it with being cooped up with her parents. And at the same time, another pastoral care associate was working with someone whose parent had recently been diagnosed with dementia. Or I remember a time, a year or so back, when one of us worked with a member of the church who was very distressed about something the church had done. And she met with him for an hour. He talked, she listened, she asked a few questions. They followed up with 1 or 2 emails, and it helped. Then there was the millennial whose partner had been seriously injured in a work accident, and no one at church knew, because she always presented herself as fine, as having it all together. And still, she had the humility to reach out, the humility and the trust to reach out for pastoral care. And she got it. You saw the pictures of many of the pastoral care providers, and I want to name all of the currently serving Lay Pastoral Care Associates. Mariana Rouse Cardoso, Matt Carr, Hank Dahlstrom, Sally Detterman, Colleen Duell, Barb Hathaway, Helen Hensgen, and Melissa Neuweiser-Walls. It's an honor to work with them. So, pastoral care, as you're gathering, is nearly always a response to someone reaching out. We do write to or call or visit anyone we know of who is bereaved or injured or sick. But if we don't know, we can't help. I could go on, but the point is that pastoral care at UUCA is wide-ranging, and it's available to anyone who needs it. One of us will support you in healing your heart and spirit when you need it, if you ask. So sure, everybody gets some of this kind of attention from friends and family, neighbors, covenant groups. The difference is that in pastoral care, we are intentionally representing the UUCA community. We are trained to put our own concerns aside, to companion you in finding your way through the thickets of your life. We're also trained to reach out for the help that we need in our own pathfinding. And we do that mostly in trusting conversations with each other. Pastoral care isn't therapy, although sometimes it may briefly feel like that. But at heart, the focus of pastoral care, and our focus as Lay Pastoral Care Associates and as ministers, is on accompanying you on a healing journey within the context, the container of our shared faith and your individual beliefs. These days, with the church closed down, the best way to reach out for pastoral care is through email. It's uucapastoralcare@gmail.com. We'll reach back to you typically within 24 hours, usually by email. The rest of the accompanying is typically by phone or by Zoom, as you prefer. I started by talking about my own reaching out through prayer. And before that, we heard Cullen's story. Prayer might be a part of your healing. That's up to you. The point is that healing doesn't have to be a solo endeavor. In fact, usually it's not. Here in this congregation, our ministers and the trained Lay Pastoral Care Associates are a resource for healing and support when you need it. We love doing this work, and we are committed to it. You don't need to go it alone. I hope you won't. So may it be.
Over the past few years, and especially the past few months, we have been reminded that we are the church. All of us together create a beloved community. We may be away from our building for a while, but we find sanctuary in each other. The important work of UUCA continues through covenant groups, religious education, music, social justice, pastoral care, and so many efforts seen and unseen. The mission of this congregation continues through these difficult times when we are reminded just what it means to be part of a community. UUCA is temporarily suspending our Share the Plate program to focus on the ministries of this church community. By giving to UUCA, you contribute to the spiritual center that keeps us all connected. You support all of us in our collaborative efforts to make a difference. Even though no ushers will be knocking on your door this morning, it is easy to give to the church. Number one, you can mail a check payable to UUCA with the word offering or pledge in the memo line. Number two, you can give online on the church website, uucava.org. Just click on the donate button on the top of the page. Number three, you can donate using the Give Plus app. Enter the zip code 22204, choose UUCA, and follow the prompts to give. Your gifts are greatly appreciated. Please join me in the dedication of our offering. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. Amen.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
As we move forward into our week, let us remember that healing and healers are available. Let us have the grace and the humility to recognize when we need help. Let us have the courage and the trust to reach out for it. And let us too have the love and the commitment to provide help where it is needed. You don't have to go it alone. We are here. This is community. Go in peace, and remember, we're here for you.
Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars turn their healing light on you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace to you.